Release the hounds!
Hello everyone, it is story time. As you might have guessed from the thumbnail or the title, I got in a little trouble with my Bobcat. Those of you who don't know, I shot a Bobcat 2 years ago. We used the dogs and we put a video out and that's it. But I wasn't going to do this video, I wasn't going to do it, but I'll let you know by the end of the video what pushed me over the edge, I guess, to plead my case and just kind of get this out there so maybe other people won't run into this problem. Maybe you don't even know about it. There's an issue out there and there's nothing you can do about it but be honest. And I tried that approach and it still didn't work out all that well. So by no means is this any way of bad-mouthing the DNR or poor me, I guess, because I was in the wrong, and even though I don't feel like I physically did something wrong, there's still rules and regulations you have to follow. One thing led to another, and I got in some trouble. I was just going to let it go, and hopefully I don't get in trouble for this and target on my back, I guess you'd say, but just feel like it needs to get out there. So it all starts with I drew a Bobcat tag in 2021, and so did my buddy up north. So we decided to go with our other friend who offered to take us. He's got dogs, and he said, yeah, let's do it. Let's go up there. So me and the boys packed everything up. Left on the day after Christmas 2 years ago. Went up there, perfect conditions. It was an awesome experience. We got fresh snow so we could track the next morning. I don't know how many sets of Bobcat tracks we crossed, and we finally went in. Dogs did their thing. We got the Bobcat. Everything was good. But there was one thing I kind of left out of the video. If you haven't watched the video, check it out. But one thing you notice in the video, there is no kill shot. That's because the dogs got the cat before I could get in there, which I think happens a lot with Bobcat hunting when you're using the dogs. And I was kind of prepared for this to happen, and unfortunately it did, and I kind of felt, well, it is what it is. I know we talked about it when we got the cat, and I just said, well, I'm just going to tell the DNR when I register it, because as far as all I know, all the regulations I looked at, I couldn't find anything where you're supposed to notify them immediately. It just says no dogs are supposed to be used to kill animals, whether it be, I'm guessing, like pheasants, rabbits, squirrels, anything you use the dogs with for hunting, they're not allowed to kill the animal. But in some cases, and I think especially in Bobcat, this happens because those dogs are literally trying to kill the cat. So if they get it cornered or pinned, that's what's going to happen. And unfortunately, that's exactly what happened. By the time I got in there, the dog already had the cat in a brush pile. We pulled it out, took the dog away from the cat, stepped on the cat, kill it. Essentially, that's what you see in the video. So I decided, yeah, I'm just going to call the DNR when we get out, register it. I'm going to tell them right when I register it, and that's what I did. It was maybe 2 days later, before I could actually get in contact with the DNR, I came back home, called the guy here, we met. He asked me to tell the story, and I told him exactly how it was, and I was up front with him. I said, to be honest, the dog killed the cat, and it's the way it is. And he looked at me and he said, hey, I really appreciate you being honest with that because technically that's not legal. And I said, well, it is what it is, and I knew that's what happened, so I wasn't going to not tell him the truth at the beginning there right from the start, and he had no problem with it. Registered the animal. I was on my way. He left. I don't know what paperwork was filled or not, but came home, put the video together, sent it out, and did really well, got a bunch of views and stuff, and 2 years later, things changed. So early this fall, I see a warden truck pull up in my driveway. I'm like, what the heck is this? Guy gets out, another guy gets out, they come to my front door, said, hey, how you doing? And I thought I recognized the warden from around here, and they said, we just wanted to question you about a Bobcat that was killed in 2021. And I was like, 2 years ago? Yeah. So they went on to ask me at least a dozen questions about who I went with, how I know him, where we met, who was with him, what kind of setup he had, like where we hunted, where we actually met him, what gas station at, and just all these questions about him. And in the back of my mind, I'm like, I wonder if he's in trouble or something. And my mind's starting to spin. And then they asked me about the Bobcat, and then that's when I started to panic because I guess I didn't want to get him in trouble if that was the case. And I even said to the guy, because he asked me who registered it, where, and I said it was here, and I said I think it was you, and he doesn't remember. I guess it was 2 years ago, but you'd think they'd have some sort of record of who registered what animals on what day, and maybe notes in there like what I said, but whatever. So they got to the point where they're asking me about the Bobcat, how the hunt happened. I went in, and then they asked how did you kill it, and I said, well, I panicked, to be honest, and I said I shot it with the shotgun. What kind of shot did you use? I said I really don't remember, which I don't remember what we had in the gun. So at this point, I kicked myself that I just didn't tell him the truth again at that time, but in the back of my mind, I'm like, I already told them what happened. They obviously don't remember. So I think I'm in trouble here. I'm either going to have to tell them I shot the cat. Hopefully they believe it. It's all said and done because it was fine for 2 years. So like I said, I panicked. Shouldn't have did that. But I'm thinking there's only a couple options that are going to come out of this. They came all the way here with his supervisor. And I'm guessing if I tell them what happened, they're going to find me, take the cat away, and worst case scenario. So I that's what I'm guessing. I'm like, why would they waste their time doing all this if that wasn't their main objective? I mean, they could have called me and just asked, or could have came up front and just said, did the dogs kill it? And because we already know they did, according to the report back in two years ago. But apparently they didn't know. So I just went with my story. They left, and I thought, well, I'm probably not going to hear the end of this. So now I'm even more confused of what's going on. So I contact my friend up north. He hasn't heard nothing. I contact our friend with the dogs that we use. He hasn't heard nothing. He has no idea. So he contacted a warden up there. That warden must have did some searching or something, but got back to my friend. He calls me back, says, yeah, they saw your video. And so they had questions on how the Bobcat was killed. So now I'm just even more confused because I know it's the same guy I registered it with. So another week or so goes by, and he rolls into my driveway again. Just him by himself, talking to me about the situation again, asked me to tell the story again. So I just said, fine. I said, you already know this. The cat was killed by the dogs. Why didn't you tell me from the beginning? I said, because I told you from the beginning when I registered it 2 years ago. I said, wasn't that you? He's like, I honestly can't recall it. So now I'm like, don't they have any kind of record of any of this stuff? So I said, he goes, I wish you would have just told me from the beginning. I said, well, I did. So now I'm like, I said, I apologize for not telling you the truth, but I said I panicked and I didn't know what to say because I'm just confused now. So then we talked for a while, and it was fine. Nobody ever got heated or never got upset. It was a civil conversation. And I said, well, what should I have done? And he says, well, you should have called a warden immediately out in the field. I said, well, I guess I wasn't sure on the specific regulations on it. So I said I did the next best thing. When I registered, I came clean and told you right away. Don't recall it. Like, I'm screwed here is what I was thinking the whole time. I said, so well, now what would happen if I would have called in the field? The warden comes out, sees the cat. He says it's all up to the discretion of that warden. They may take the cat. They may give you a fine. They may, I don't know. So I'm thinking, what could happen here? Like they take the cat. I'm done with my tag, whatever. I get a fine. They keep the cat, then I'm screwed again. Or they let me keep the cat and not give me a fine. So then, like, if that's the case, then what's the point of them even coming out and investigating this or whatever? And I thought another option would be, like, they take the cat because it was killed by unlawful means. I keep my tag, which then I'm thinking, well, that doesn't make sense. Why would I be allowed another Bobcat tag? After 10 years of waiting for a tag, they're just going to give you another one? So none of these scenarios made sense to me. So then he did ask where the cat was. I think on the first meeting they asked where it was. And I said it's at a taxidermist up north. And that was all I said about that. So then when he came back the second time, and I admitted it, I said, well, what's going to happen here? He said, well, it's ultimately up to the warden up north because that's his jurisdiction. The warden up there told my friend that it was up to the warden down here because he's the prosecuting warden. So now like I said, I'm getting more and more confused as this goes on. I don't know what the point of this whole thing was. I said, well, what's going to happen then? He says, well, at the very worst, you're going to get a fine. It's basically like a traffic ticket. You're not going to lose hunting privileges and whatever. And I said, well, I'm willing to do that. I was at fault. I know I was wrong. I still don't think I intentionally did anything wrong, but I think he was just more upset that I didn't tell the truth the first time when they visited me, but I told the truth when I registered it. So yeah. So now he leaves, and now I sit back and wait for a couple weeks. I'm kind of freaking out, like very upset about it, and didn't know really what to do. It was just here I sit in limbo. I felt sick feeling like for weeks. It just like it ate away at me. I felt like a criminal, and it wasn't good. More time went by than I thought was gonna happen here, and I think it was up north there in deer camp. Might have been like Thanksgiving or the day after. I get a call from this warden from down here. Says the warden up there is gonna go ahead and issue a citation. You'll receive it in the mail. And he says it's not like a ungodly amount. It's just a fine, and that's the route we're gonna go. I said, well, I'm not really comfortable with all this, but I said it is what it is. I'm willing to own up to my part of this. If I violated or did something wrong, I'm fine with that. I will pay this fine. I said, it is what it is. So that's where we left it. And he said, I hope we meet again on better terms out in the field. And I said, no hard feelings. I apologize for not telling you the truth when you guys interviewed me, but I said it is what it is. I still don't feel like I intentionally did anything wrong. I guess maybe the dog should go to jail, maybe. I don't know. I mean, the dog killed it, so. But, no, just kidding. But, so I sat and waited for the mail to come in. Enough time went by where I kind of forgot about it, and then one day it shows up. My wife says, something from the DNR in the mail. I open it up, look at it, $250 fine, I think it was. So then I was reading in the description of the process, what they had it all printed off in there, our meeting, what I said, what they said, back and forth. And then at the very end it said the Bobcat was confiscated from the taxidermist, which nobody said anything to me about that. When he called me and said I was getting a fine, there was no talk of them taking the Bobcat. They didn't even tell me or nothing. I reached out to my taxidermist the other day, and I said, did they show up and take it? And he's like, yeah. I was kind of confused. He says, they said you knew about it, and I said I roughly explained the situation to him. And so that's what put me over the line, I guess. So after finding out that they took the cat, which it's all part of it too, but I just wish they would have told me they were going to do that, I guess. Made it sound like it was just a fine, and everything was fine. So that's what really set me off over the limit here, where I decided to do this video. I was just going to let it go and not do anything, but because I don't want to cause a ruckus here and paint a target on my back, and I have no hard feelings with the wardens. They were just doing their job. I'm just confused about why, I guess. I mean, you would think when I registered the Bobcat that there would have been something in his notes, what I said, that it was killed by the dog, but apparently was not. So I am just totally confused and upset, I guess. I spent 10 years to get the tag, the time and the money to go up there and get the cat, and it was a good experience. Me and the boys were up there, my friends' kids, and it was fun, and it just kind of ruined the whole situation, and it ruined the whole hunt. And to be honest, I don't even know if I'm ever going to bobcat hunt in Wisconsin anymore. Maybe trap them, if anything, but because I'm assuming that happens kind of often with the dogs, and I'm assuming a lot of the people might just leave it lay, or maybe they don't say anything and they just take it. I don't know the situation on that. I'm not familiar with all that, but I was not happy, to say the least. So in summary, I thought I was doing the right thing as far as just telling them right away when I registered it. I even made the comment to the warden, and he keeps saying he doesn't recall it. And I said, I guess I should have videotaped it, our conversation, just to protect myself. So I guess if this can help anybody out there, if situations like this come up, be upfront with them with anything, but especially with the Bobcat thing, with the dogs. I didn't want this to happen. It's upsetting. Like I said, all that time accumulating points and buying the tag, and now I'm out all of that. And all those 10 years of waiting to get a tag and something kind of unique to do. And there's way more Bobcats than I thought once we got on all these tracks and stuff. So that was kind of cool. I learned, what a Bobcat track looks like. I didn't know any of that. So it was a big learning process for me, both for the hunt and the laws and regulations on it. And I definitely won't be making that mistake again. Like I said, I don't feel like I did anything wrong. Maybe my lack of doing something is what erred on my part. But it is what it is, and can't take it back now. It's all done with. But I know there's going to be a lot of comments out there like I got what I deserved and it was wrong. And I admit I was totally at fault, and I should have did it differently. But I thought I handled it fine at the beginning, and it turns out it didn't. Because it just came down to my word against his, I guess. And because I don't like how that played out, I just felt sick that I didn't tell him the truth when they interviewed me. But I just kept thinking that this is not going to end good no matter what I say. If I tell him it was killed by the dog when they first came to visit me, I still think I was going to lose the cat and I was going to get a fine, because I don't know why they would have gone through all that trouble to come to my house and investigate it, I guess. So, and I guess what's frustrating the most is I kind of pride myself on being a law-abiding hunter, especially with my kids now getting into hunting the last 4 or 5 years. And there's a lot of laws and regulations in regards to kids hunting, the mentoring program. So I'm always up on that, up on the times to hunt. The boys are always asking me, what time's shooting time, and with the guns. And a lot of times when we're hunting, I don't even carry a gun, so I can be right there with Peyton or Parker, either one. And I try and keep up on all the laws and our bag limits, and just to set a good example for them. And I'm kind of embarrassed now, and it just feels sick to my stomach, like that I failed on that part of it. And hopefully it never happens again, and then we'll move on from this, and we'll still be out there hunting every day, hunting and fishing and enjoying the outdoors. So I hope you enjoyed the video. Maybe you learned something from it, take something away from it. Comment down below if you wanna bash me or whatever. I know I was in the wrong, and I paid the price. I paid the ultimate price. So thanks for watching.